of shiny helmets, spandex jumpsuits, and strange monsters. These heroes force feed you a bowl of awesome that is the Tokudon Podcast. Join Carl, Josh, and Rob as they haphazardly welcome you to the exciting genre of tokusatsu. Now, open wide.
Yeah,
because I'm not sure yet.
That's fine. Welcome back to Tokudon TV.
Welcome to Tokudon TV.
Today we are going to give our first impressions of the newest Reiwa Rider.
But first, we'll talk. We're gonna kind of top off 0-1 with the last couple episodes and what our predictions were. And
we do. We do.
If they came right, and just kind of what happened with the episode and all that kind of fun stuff. So yeah.
So I mean, it obviously ended about a week ago already, and
yeah. So let's start. I think in the end, the actual episode, last episode we saw was 42. It ended with Aruto being like, "Oh man, I'm Arc 1, meh, 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 meh," and Azu.
Yeah, super sad. Yeah.
Azu being like, "Oh, Arc Sama, you're the best. Notice me."
Yeah. And then I mean we had the episode and 43. I can't remember what happens in 43. A lot of nothing. Not a lot happened in 43 because everything.
43 was 43 was, oh god, we got to stop Aruto. That's when the other three riders, Yua, Fua, and Guy show up, and he literally disables them. He destroys Guy's driver.
He does destroy
the chips in Fua and Yua's heads. Well, he erases them. He doesn't destroy them. He straight up just like mind wipes them. So they're unable to use their drivers.
He basically just Terminators everybody. And it's like, you know, again, if it was to destroy Thouser, I think they could have done him a little bit more service. But at this point, they had already janked his character to like nothing. So whatever, you know, why not just let him crush it in his hands and then just be done with it? So it kind of sucked because, you know, at one point he was dope, but you know, so was Rogue.
I don't know. Towser was a good rider. I don't think he was a good character.
No, absolutely. I agree with that.
Yeah, like he was a really cool, when he was in his, you know, henshin and everything about his rider form itself was great. Guy was not an interesting character in my opinion. I don't know. It was just, it was a very short arc stretched into a longer thing in the grand scheme of things. And it was kind of, I think that was a fitting end to where it was just kind of like, and he's done.
I guess from what I read, I think I read they're doing a Thouser chapter part 2 or something like that for him, so he might end up with the belt back or something.
That's fine, and I'm sure they'll do V cinemas for everyone. Especially with a cast
definitely.
Like this, we're pretty much guaranteed most likely to get 2 or 3 cinemas.
I would say if it was getting like prediction for like his like ultimate thing, it's gonna be like a gold version of
Vulcan 2.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. It's just gonna be gold.
But
anyway, so
he might. I mean, he might just because we talk about how he's like the Heisei and you know Aruto's the Showa, so he might get something kind of like a gold rampage kind of deal.
Yeah, I'm definitely seeing that. I don't know if he's gonna have like a cape or anything, but
yeah, I honestly really liked his in 43, I believe, is when he does the Japanese wolf transformation. Or is that 44?
I think it's 44.
It's 44. Okay.
40. No. Is it?
Either way, it doesn't really matter what exactly the episode.
Yeah, whatever.
But so essentially, the next 3 episodes are Aruto and Hirobi kind of walking towards each other, metaphorically and literally.
It is a lot of breakneck speed. It is a lot of breakneck speed. Yes. Like trying to wrap everything up, but yet, I think I think they wanted to wrap up a lot of the non-essential TV arcs to focus on like what I'm assuming is going to be the real ending. But
So
anyway,
what it apparently turned into, I was reading an article about it. One of the
cool.
producers or something, I forget who it was. I forget exactly what it was, but essentially it was because of COVID, they were behind on a couple episodes, but Saber was 100% like airing this weekend. There was no controlling that was airing or not. So they basically had like 6 episodes to wrap everything up. And they apparently wrote the last couple 6 episodes like very quickly and filmed it very quickly. So given that, I'm actually surprised how well it turned out.
Yeah, but it does show because you don't feel that gravitas that you usually do, even in shows that we didn't really like. You know what I mean? Like those last 3 or 4 episodes are always heavy as hell. And I'm not trying to take away from it. They did the best that they could, and I'll give them all the credit in the world because it is at least an ending that feels okay. Like I'm not. It's not a total downer ending. Yeah, which it could have easily have been. Like,
no, I was actually quite satified with it in the grand scheme.
Right. Yeah.
So I actually liked it a lot.
Let's go back. So you said the Japanese wolf thing, and in my opinion, and I think you agree, that sequence where he gets the Japanese wolf upgrade, where he's fighting Aruto, it's like it kind of defined their relationship. It kind of
I thought it was great.
It put a nice circle onto the message about their relationship and the way that and essentially the message of the whole show. Yeah. So it's again, if I think we can find a clip of it somewhere.
Yeah, and I thought I'd said it in a group chat as I was watching it, but I think the choreography to that fight in particular. So essentially what is happening is Aruto is literally walking towards Hirobi to have this final showdown, and they're trying to stop him. That's when he disables the Towser driver, yada yada yada. So also Metsubo Jinrai tries to stop Hirobi. They all kind of have a realization that Jin was right, because Jin does die. Jin is killed in 44, and that's what sets Hirobi onto this path of basically 2 immovable objects clashing towards each other.
Yeah. Now Jin just doesn't die, so no. Aruto is going full on death mode,
full
against
Terminator.
Hirobi. Like he's legit. This is a full intention murder kick, and Jin of course swoops in the last minute and takes the kick for Hirobi. Yeah, and destroys him. It's legit. Like yeah. And it's a nice moment in terms of like, his for Jin's complete arc. It does feel very impactful, because it's kind of like, wow, we see that had to happen in order for Hirobi to get it, but it hurt. It still hurt. Like it was. I liked that. Yeah. And it looked amazing. It was a dope looking kick.
Yeah, it was a cool kick. So he just like mashes on the arc driver a couple times and just keeps going. And every time you're like, he's getting angry. Oh, he's getting so angry. Oh, Hirobi's gonna feel this one. And it's just boom, 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 and he's ready to. And it's like mass extinction. I think the attack ends up being called, or something like that. I forget what it is, but he kicks with all his fury, and it is. Jin ends up taking all of that fury, and he does not survive.
and you gotta imagine, like, he's pouring all that emotion from losing Izu into that kick. So there's like no holding back. I think I found it right here. Yeah. Also, that was at the end of 43. That's okay. What we forgot to mention.
Yeah. So he stops the other gang, and then this is how the episode ends. This is kind of the icing on the cake of that. That button is crazy. I got like everyone. They did a really good job with that. With every push, it builds it up more and more, and you feel it.
Yeah, it's straight up nightmare juice. It's dope though. Like, if you, I don't know if do you think that it is debatable which form is more powerful between that and 02?
Well,
I would put them kind of equal in terms of scale.
Yeah, I would say so. Obviously, he gets a real final-ish form, but we can talk about that in a minute.
I think that's kind of like the equivalent of the rabbit dragon.
Yeah,
thing. But yeah. Okay, so where were we?
I think the other one's just arc 1 is just more fueled with fuck you. That's really the main difference. But I think performance-wise, they're probably about the same.
That's what I'm wagering at that it's equal, because I don't think that there's true debate. I think 02 is his final form, but this is just like, the counter to that.
Yeah.
So we get the final the after Jin's dead and Horobi goes full like
that solidifies Hirobi's conviction to destroy Aruto. Yeah. So we talked about him kind of wavering a little bit, and he even wavers really hard. I went back and rewatched the episodes, just to like the last 5 episodes altogether, just as one thing. Hirobi wavers real hard even when he's about to kill Izu. He's like, he hesitates. He does hesitate. And he's like, she's a human gear, but this is gonna happen.
It proved the character. It solidified the character, because again, the struggle is, for some reason, it's like you kind of don't understand why he continues to struggle with it.
Yeah.
When it would be so easy, but it kind of reinforces that this is not a human thing. This is a robot. You know what I mean? There's no logic in there. It's just whatever it's designed to feel. It's
emotional. They've developed a soul, if you want to call it that. Emotions, everything.
Exactly. It's the emotional side of it that's foreign. So I dig that.
And then arc 1 and Hirobi go at it, kills Jin. And then that's when we get to that actually breaks Aruto out of it a little bit. This is kind of what sparks his reascension kind of thing, like digging out of the hole.
Yeah.
He
hit rock bottom with that.
Yeah, he genuinely did not want to hurt Jin. Like, it was all about Hirobi. It had nothing to do with, destroying the world or anything like that. Like, he had a sole laser focus on Hirobi, and he realized the collateral damage in that kind of hatred. And that's kind of what brings him back, but it still doesn't stop his resolve for getting back at Hirobi.
Because holy crap.
Yeah, because you took Izu and you messed up. So that essentially leads to the Fuwa and him fight, which I thought was actually really cool that they had one more between just the two of them. And the interesting thing is, so this whole fight is literally Aruto just walking and Fuwa trying to stop him. Foolishly trying to stop him.
Like, knowingly, hopelessly.
Yes.
Trying to stop
him. He knows he does not stand a chance at this point without his rampage galing or anything like that, and is essentially using, he's using Kaioken versus Super Saiyan God right now, and he's just hoping for the best, trying to stop his friend.
And it's not even like Kaioken times anything. It's just straight up just Kaioken.
He just first turned it on the first time, and that's about it. It's just an interesting fight because Aruto also chooses to do it in 02, which I thought was the most interesting and really alluded to how, yes, he's climbing back out of that hole and now he has his own wavering convictions, but he's not putting that conviction above his friends. Like he's not a literal Terminator. There's still Aruto in there.
And it's just thematic with it, because if it was arc 1, it would have been too easy to just suspend that.
Yeah, and it would have been. I think in that case, it would have been like, oh yeah, he's just the bad guy now. You know what I mean? That sort of thing.
Exactly. So,
and I thought it was a really cool choice actually, just to have him use 02.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's a really interesting fight because Aruto just keeps moving forward and tossing Fu aside and dodging him like he's nothing. It's really interesting, and then
the whole time, kind of reliving or retelling how the mentality changed over the course of their adventure together, and how Aruto was the one who inspired him to be that way. Yeah. So
also wanting to stop him, Naki ends up giving Fuwa the Progrise Key, the Japanese Wolf Progrise Key, and because I think Naki rewrites their data onto the chip, that's how he's able to use it. Is that what it was?
Well, no, he still can't use it, but
Oh, that's right. He just forces it because he's
he's forced. So.
He's forced, so he just literally rips it open and he says, "I don't care about your chip." So
yeah, fuck that.
it's cool. It looks like a assault wolf, but it has the Japanese wolf eccentric aesthetic to it. Even has the claws for the final attack, which is a pretty sick final attack. Actually, he splits it 100 different pieces.
Yeah, that was a nice touch. The way they added the little flair to it, because it's taking the both of them, and like giving them that nice little. I mean, it's so good. Like it's a subtle thing between he and Naki teaming up. You know what I mean? Like, dude, he teamed up with the thing that was in his head that he hated. So it's like, come on, that's
cool. There was a lot of. I think this is one of those situations where, like this episode in particular, it really almost lended to them not having a lot of time because they can do more things like this visually, where it kind of, I think a lot of times, especially stories like this that are tailored more towards kids, they say more than show much more often. And this is one of those things where like it's kind of open to interpretation. Like, I don't know, they may not have intended to do it this kind of thing, but like this is the way I perceive it. Kind of like how, you know, I don't know if I think they intended to have Aruto be a literal show rider, while Fuwa was the Heisei, but that's just how I interpret it. I think. No,
I agree.
Yeah, I think it's the speed at which these episodes were written kind of lended it more to that, and it was a cool thing that I appreciate.
I absolutely would have given these two an entire episode of their own. Yeah. To have Fuwa and Yua, you know what I mean? Like even if it did mean including everyone else, but the focus would have been these two. Yeah. And Fuwa trying everything to bring him out and maybe like going through all the progress keys, destroying them one by one. You know what I mean? Like just to put that symbolism and point that I could have seen an episode with just those two to get to the same point that they did in like 5 minutes with like half of the emotional impact that they could have really had. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's I don't know. It ended up being really good. It was a really good story.
Yeah. I mean, really good little arc. Same end. It's just, you know. But so after this sequence, you know, he basically fights him to the point of one, exhaustion, and literally the driver breaks on him.
Yeah, because he doesn't have that code, that chip code, so it's overloading the driver, and the shot riser literally explodes.
Oh yeah, mind you, the whole time he's fighting, he's like also shorting out. Like
yes, he's actually getting shocked and probably killing himself. He's the entire time he's just glitching.
That's Fuwa. That's our secret Fuwa. Main character, Fuwa. But
I think we talked about it a little bit last time. I think he arguably became the main character. Like it was almost like a Kabuto situation where you have Kabuto, you have Tendo, who is the main character. He's the titular character, all that kind of stuff, and he has his own. I mean, Tendo doesn't really have an arc, but like he has arcs. He doesn't have a character arc in my opinion, but that's a whole other thing.
Feel feelings.
That's he's like, oh, okay, cool. But Kagami is the one who really goes through like the major change and has the more interesting aspects and things like that, and they just kind of have that dynamic, even though it's not really a better or best. It's just the the way their characters are played out.
Yeah, and maybe one day we'll talk about Kabuto, because again, I think there's a lot in that show too. But just to take away from comparing the two, it is very much that the shining character has the more interesting arc, and yet it's still really good. You know what I mean? Like it's not to take anything away from Aruto. He just didn't change a whole lot. But anyway, so they fight. The driver's destroyed. That's pretty much it. Then he finally gets to, and I kind of liked the setup for the final episode, like where they're the two of them are on that rooftop, and it's like they're surrounded by Gilgamesh's wet dream of blades.
Yeah, because he Byakuya is into a henshin. Hirobi gets a final form. Let's be honest, that's why you like it. Don't lie about anything else. That's why you like it. So they meet on the rooftop. Hirobi has a new belt. It's another version of the 01 driver with a new piece attached to it. Essentially, he becomes Arc Hirobi. I think that's actually what it's called. Or Arc Scorpion. I'm sorry, Arc Scorpion.
Is it Arc Scorpion? Yeah.
Arc Scorpion, yes. So when he does transform, the sword Hirobi's been wearing the entire time, he literally drops it. If anyone has seen Bleach, like Byakuya Kazuki, he drops it into the ground, it melts, and then a bunch of every weapon they've created throughout the show starts popping up everywhere. Boom, 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 boom. And then he henshins.
It's so dope.
Yeah. And it's not a crazy radical new form. It's pretty much Arc Zero mixed with Hirobi. That's really what
I mean,
is.
it really it works because it's not too much.
Yeah.
It's not too much.
It's not like 0-3 or anything like that. Like I predicted that, you know, Hirobi would kind of become the good guy, that sort of thing. It was a nice kind of turn that I mean, I guess I saw coming, but I didn't think they would go down that path, sort of thing.
Yeah, you know, I kind of thought that it was gonna, like, I don't remember my exact prediction, but I did know that I was thinking that Azu was gonna be more of a thing where she was gonna like subvert, and I still kind of think that
you
that's
said more
kind
of
true.
they would team up against Azu. So
Yeah,
which,
but I still kind of think that Azu, yeah. So we'll get there, but but it didn't happen to be the case in terms of the final episode itself. So what we got was a kind of a fusor look of Horobi and Arc influence. Maybe I can find a picture of it, but it's really it's not. Yeah, it's nothing too crazy, but it doesn't look jarring. You know what I mean? It's not like a drive type formula.
No, it literally looks like the complete, you know, Hirobi giving himself to Arc kind of form that it should be. Yeah. So, so the episode literally ends with Aruto and Hirobi, you know, about to clash, and the weapons are everywhere and all this kind of stuff. And so we get to the 45th episode, the final episode, and it is pedal to the metal right out the gate. Second one, these two are already fighting.
They knew that's how this episode would be.
Yeah, and the cool thing about this episode is I would say about 85% of it was the fight, and it didn't get boring or anything, in my opinion. I thought it was a very good fight.
Very well choreographed. The story pacing, even in between, like even when we had to have, you know, the cutaways to the other characters, it slowed it, but it had to happen. You know what I mean? Like they couldn't just do the consistent fighting without more resolution for the other characters. Because even into this episode, they were still doing, you know, they were closing some of the arcs. Like the vice president or something like that. He was trying to hold off with the other guy, and you know they mind you. Oh yeah, we should probably mention that when after Jin's death, Horobi like turned all the human gears against humanity. So there was like the whole time this was going on, there was also like rebellion and like riots going on from the robots, which was, you know, a thing, but it didn't really do anything. Like it was just kind of going on. Yeah, I found a picture of the Horobi thing. So I mean, but the fights, the choreography, the pacing, as long as it was focused on them, was amazing. Yeah, and it hit all the notes. Yeah. In terms of a final fight.
And like as they're squaring up, it actually, the world itself is very much at a point of, it's actually a little surreal because it was kind of like what's going on now. It was
I didn't want to get into that too much. But
I don't want to get into the political part of it, but it's essentially the Humagears are like rioting against the humans, and there's a lot of standoffs happening. And it's interesting because they're kind of, it's evolved into this thing where Arc is, it's showing that, you know, it's there to let Humagears become their own thing, and like they get the red eyes and they start going nuts, and like all the Humagears that are working at Hidan Technologies are trying to like get at the humans and stuff. And there's a dynamic where Ames has been taken over by this other, you know, the boss of Ames comes in, or the boss of Zaya takes over Ames, and they're trying to stop this Humagear, and they're about to destroy a Humagear when Yua steps in, and Guy has given his resignation, given it back to Aruto, for Hidan Technologies or Intelligence, and then his last thing that he did as president, you find out, is reinstate Yua as captain of Ames and make it its own its own entity again. Yeah. So she steps in and says that I thought that was pretty cool. She steps in and says, you know, hey, you guys all need to stop. And then there, you know, you get the boss man who's like, no, I'm in command, and she's like, nope, and like flashes the badge and all that kind of thing. So yeah, there's a little side story going on, and they're trying to, as they're doing this as well, because they think the only way to stop Hirobi is to rebuild Jin. They found his little earpiece that he has. They're trying to recreate the AI of Jin while they're fighting. Yeah. Because
they figured they didn't have time to give him a full body.
This is like, Lucifer and Michael going at it kind of thing. Like, It's.
I mean, it was a cool idea, and as like as convenient plot wise as it was, it made the most sense. But it did serve to give that typical shonen, you know, last minute intervention of a friend. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
So,
but I thought it wasn't major enough in the grand scheme of the fight that it was okay, and it kind of, if anything, it made him pause for a second. That was about it.
Yeah.
And I thought it was nice. I was expecting a full on like, I have seen the error of my ways. Take me.
Yeah. A talk no jutsu ending. Yeah. No.
Yeah, I've seen too many of those. So it was nice.
It wasn't that. Yeah.
Because Jin just kind of pops in and goes, "Hey, man." No.
Yeah. No, let it go, bro.
Can
we
we not? Is that cool or what's up? Okay.
Like I'm good. I mean, I'm not great, but I'm good.
Great. Yeah, but like, high five. I don't know, man. I don't know what to tell you. Like, relax.
And then we finally get Aruto, who's like, I know this is not the way things are supposed to go, but it kind of has to end.
Yeah.
With this.
Yeah. And then so like they fight until they bust through the roof that they're on into this parking garage. And then they de-hension and they have a little like talk no jutsu. They try to talk it out, that kind of thing. And it's you
get your typical flashbacks. I mean, Naruto has one with his father, and like it just helps them come to terms with like, look, this whole situation is because you can't let go of what you've done to each other.
Yeah.
And forgiveness and all that jazz. But it's not bad. It just it was it. So because there was no quick resolution that they could do on their own. It had to have something like this shoehorned in.
Yeah. At some point, you find out that between when he kills Jin and when he fights Fua, that he connects with Satellite there. And that's when he talks to like a backup of his father, and he kind of gets this new resolution, and it creates a new 01 driver.
It creates his real final form.
Which is Hopper realization.
Realizing Hopper.
I'm sorry. Yeah, so it's literally this. It looks the same as his original form, his base form. I think, right? It does. I'd have to see it side by side. Okay. I thought the green might have been a little different, but I wasn't sure. But essentially, it's the spirit of Izu as a progress key, and that's just the original one when they first met. And they have a pretty cool. Arc Hirobi has this really cool like berserker attack stinger thing that he does, and Aruto ends up jumping through it, and it's pretty sick. It is literally it is a mirror of the very first episode's kick. It's pretty cool. I don't know if you noticed that. In the very first episode, he has a very, very similar final kick where he's jumping through a bus and he's doing all this. It's pretty CG, but it's pretty cool that it mirrors the first episode in that regard.
See. So this is realizing Hopper. It's just shining Hopper with red in it.
Okay, so it did have it was slightly different.
Yeah, it's slightly different, but not a whole bunch.
Yeah.
So realizing Hopper is just that, and okay. I mean, yeah, sure.
Yeah. I mean, it's not the first time that most riders end up using their final form, and then they have like one little spat, and then they use their like first form again. It happens all the time. So it was
Ghost did that.
Ghost did that. Kabuto did it. Everyone does it. Decade did it. Decade didn't really have a final form, so that's fine. Like that other thing was stupid, so it's fine.
Evil.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah. So it wasn't bad. Okay. So they finally stop fighting. Everybody's buddy. Jin gets through to Horobi. They're cool. Everything's squashed. For some, and it's not really touched on, which kind of bothered me, but I don't, there was no like massive network shutdown for the human gears, so I don't know how all those, because
Arc is still a thing. I think that again, it's another product of the accelerated timeline, because there wasn't really, I mean, to be fair, in this series there wasn't really a huge like world-ending cataclysm like Arc took over Satellite there and it's going to blow up the city sort of thing.
Right.
Which something like that may happen. in the movie.
I think it was implied that it would get to that some point like that, but
I think it was it was more so. I think the issue was more of, it's a small contained thing where it's between these two to where, it would essentially create the civil unrest that would, be the main issue between the human gears. Because human gears at this point, they've made throughout the series, they've made the point that human gears are a natural part of society. They're over everything. They're in every facet of businesses and technologies and infrastructure. So like having those all go wrong, and it's very similar to today, right? Like we have robots that do literally everything. Like we're recording this on a robot.
Let me testify today. That's your fault because you guys want the smart robots, right? Okay, just saying.
Like we got robots doing vacuums. We got robots. We're recording this on a robot. It's that kind of thing. Yeah. So if all that was to go sideways, what would happen? That'd be bad, right? So that's essentially what this boils down to. But it's kind of cool that they fine-tooth combed it to just this final clash, which put weight to it, on both sides of it. And it was also just the character arcs themselves. That's really why I enjoyed it. It was a nice, clean point to where it wasn't getting overcomplicated with like, ooh, arc and now this. And I mean, there's
basically what I feel like this was a good ending for their story.
Yes.
But it wasn't an ending for the story.
Yes. So it's a good ending for the characters of 0-1, but it's not the ending of 0-1. If that makes any sense.
Yes, because again, you like you said, still a thing. Yeah. So that fact is why we at the end of this episode, literally the end of the last episode, you get a teaser for the movie.
Yes. So essentially, to backtrack a little bit, in I think it was 43 or 44, you see Azu in Satellite Arc, in like the mainframe kind of thing that they do, the big green screen room, going through, and you find out she has like hundreds of Progrise keys that are essentially the one Hirobi uses. That she can just she's just writing, and she's going to obviously just start giving out like crazy. That's her grand ultimate plan that they don't really finish on, and that's where the teaser comes in. So after Hirobi and Aruto do their thing, it gives this like, hey, where are the characters now? You find out Jin gets a new body, and Hirobi gets a new body, and him and Jin are kind of like Batman and Robin, literally. They just literally they're standing over the city with like big floaty clothes, watching the city and being like, we'll protect it.
They're stopping crime.
Literally stopping crime. You find out Naki has joined Ames, which is pretty cool. Is it Ames? It is Ames, right?
Yeah, because now it's its own thing, yeah.
I've been playing a lot of Marvel Avengers, and I was confused if that was a real, because Ames is a thing in there too, and I was getting a little confused.
I did notice that AIM. It's AIM.
AIM is the thing. AIM is ancient Marvel. That is ancient Marvel lore. That's where MODOK comes from and everything. Yeah.
So, I know nothing about it.
Yeah, that's like MODOK. You probably know him from Marvel vs. Capcom.
Oh yeah, the big brain,
big brain guy. Yeah, he's like the main bad guy in the game. So
gotcha.
Yeah,
that's a first.
It's pretty cool. Okay. I dig it. I'm for it. I'm for different.
Yeah, I mean, fuck it. At this point, we need new heroes. Like, come on, let's stop. Let's not go ahead and rehash Iron Man again.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I have some thoughts on the game so far. We can get over that once we're done Saber if we want. It's pretty cool. Anyway,
so yeah.
So yeah, they're literally Batman and Robin over the city. Aruto has rebuilt Izu, but it's kind of like a new model Izu. It's not her, but it is sort of thing.
It doesn't have any of the memories or any of the sentience.
But she is able to connect a satellite there, which they make very clear because does he put the belt on her? Is that what it does? Yeah.
He makes her from the belt. Yeah.
Sorry, I took a drink. I thought you were going to keep talking.
No, I was trying to remember if it was the chip thing.
Yeah.
The 02 driver does become that chip thing again.
Okay, yeah. So essentially, that's right. He scans the Progrise key on her earpieces, right?
Secretary.
Yeah, Secretary Izu. And she's able to connect a satellite there, and they go through, and he's like, "Well, we'll rebuild the bonds." You know what I mean? Like, it's not Izu, but it is. So we'll be best friends.
It's a cute little moment they have. It's adorable.
For Aruto going back to being annoying Aruto, I kind of got a little like charmy smirk. I was a little charming.
Yeah. Because it was done well. It was because he's doing his thing because he's rebuilding the relationship with Izu. You know what I mean? Like it's cute. It's cute.
Yeah.
But that's
and it was kind of like, oh, look, it's episode 1 again. And it kind of harkens back to what I was just saying about the kick. Like it kind of goes back to.
Right.
Let me pull up the first episode just to show you what I mean.
Do the compare kicks.
Compare kicks, yeah. So I'll find the episode. But yeah, it's.
But yes,
and then
it was nice. You see them wrap everything up neatly like that, enough to get us through. But however, I don't think, and I'm praying that what comes makes it better. But what they gave Fua for an ending was literally 3 lines. You know what I mean? Like he's a protector of the city. He's like another Batman on the streets. He's Daredevil.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So it's literally just implying that, you know, nothing is really over, but hey, just like 02, it's never over. But
yeah,
it just doesn't fit. It doesn't feel like an ending. It just feels like an ending, just not the ending.
Yes. Like I said, it's they stopped that, you know, they did the characters that were involved in 01, but there's still more to the 01 story. Right. Actually, I found a perfect clip because it's pretty much just the kick.
Go for it.
So yeah, it's Fua. Literally, there's a car crash or something, and he literally punches through the door, and he rips it off and goes, "I'm here to protect the city." So I'm waiting for the cool team up of Hirobi Jin and Fua. It's pretty cool. Pretty cool. I dig it. Fua. You see what I mean? Like it has that same energy, even if it's not shot for shot, but it definitely has that same. Like,
the zipping around,
slow mo, like thumbs up at the camera, keep going, sort of thing.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah, I see it.
Yeah, it's literally the evolved version of the first one. So,
God, the first episode was so long ago.
It was so long ago, and like the more I'm realizing all this stuff, the more I'm actually really liking 01. Like the middle chunk, maybe it has a lot of really hard ups and downs.
Wait a minute, this does have the red in it. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there is no difference between the two. Holy crap.
Does it even have like black gloves and everything? Yeah, it's black gloves.
Yeah.
It does have the red.
Oh, man.
Okay, so maybe it is.
I don't know. Maybe it is exactly the same. I just misremembered the red. Whatever. It's fine. It's a movie. It's a non-existent final form. It's just kind of a thing.
Yeah, it's an excuse to go back to the base form, but be stronger.
Yeah.
I mean,
anyway.
I think the green is slightly greener, but I could be wrong. I don't know. I'd have to see like a side by side.
At this point, I'll believe it. Whatever.
Yeah. So yeah, and then we catch up with all the heroes. You find out Naki joins Ames. So Yua's, you know, she walks into a room with all the soldiers and goes, "Hey, we have a new recruit." Naki comes in. Pretty cool. You know, she'll be around, or they'll be around, I should say. And then we go to a rooftop where this Joe Schmo dude. Guy is doing something. He starts the Towser unit. Is that what it was? Yeah. What is Guy doing? I don't even remember.
He's the director of the Towser, and I guess that's going to be another thing that we see, because, like I said before, where the same kind of thing where we were introduced to Naki there's gonna be like a part 2 of that. So we'll see. So what becomes of
when he's removed from power at Zaya, he gets part of the Towser unit. So essentially, they stick him in a basement and say, "Hey, you're going to be our dog when we need stuff done."
It'll either be a vid or a Guy Den or some shit like that.
I'm sure it'll be a V Cinema. Did we even get a hyper battle for this? We didn't, did we?
I don't think they're doing hyper battles anymore.
No, that's cool because they usually kind of. I mean, they're usually fun, dumb, whatevers, but
I don't know if they're doing them anymore.
I was trying to think if there was
Tyson would be nice.
Tyson would be cool. I knew Tyson would be kind of cool. Go back to like
dope.
Not the versus ones, but like an actual Tyson. Because the last one we got was the G3 or not V3.
We should come up with a
Sango.
Tyson plot.
Sango. That would be the last one. I mean, I don't know how you make one without still using Zio, and I hate that.
I mean, it has to be Zio, even if it does end up being a Zio Ex Machina, but we can still have a little fun.
Yeah, that's true. Anyway, so we go to this rooftop where big evil man is standing on there looking evil, got a black suit and everything. And then he pulls out the Eden Progrise key and the Eden driver, and he turns into a shining Towser arc thing.
It is literally Rogue with Fize did the few. That's the way I see it.
Yep.
I can see any anything else other than like a vibrant rogue with.
It's very much
it's just off. It doesn't fit 01.
I think it does. Yeah, there it is. It literally looks like they just reused some pieces from Rogue, and then they just put black light paint on it for whatever reason.
Looks like it looks like a collector.
I also just realized I don't know, is it the way that it opens up, but the driver changes completely when he henshins, if you look at the pictures. Like, does it flip open like the other ones do? Is that what it is?
Probably just like breaks apart, you know what I mean? Like,
okay, yeah, whatever. Either way, so that's Kamen Rider Eden. I do like the gauntlets, though. I like these cool little shield things he's got going on.
Yeah, I mean, it's not horrible. It just doesn't look original. It's just very unoriginal.
It's a movie rider to me. Like, that looks very movie rider. It screams movie rider.
Because it is.
Yeah, because it is. So, yeah. And then Azu kind of comes out and does her, like, evil chuckle. And it's like, oh, stay tuned for the next time on Dragon Ball Z in the movie.
Yeah, so seriously, like, blatantly implying that, that's cool, fine. You like this is cool, but guess what? If you really want the ending, you gotta wait till this movie comes out. Okay, bruh? Like, seriously, like, come on. I get it, but a trailer would have done that. You know what I mean? Like,
I know you had some issues with that, but like, I got the ending. When it comes down to it, I know I'm usually the dude who's just like, give me cool fight scenes, I don't care, shut up.
Right.
But at the end of the day, like, these characters that I genuinely enjoyed throughout the series had an ending. So like, if we can just have a random adventure with more of them, I'm all for that, because we had the arc. I had the arc that I came here to watch. So I have no problem with this, because like, this is what they should have done with Utopia, right? So going back to Kamen Rider W, at one point, it's the tacked on bad guy. Many, many series, especially in Neo Heisei, do this, where they tack on a bad guy at the very end. If this was 46 to it's 46 to 53 was this dude, I would have been very upset. Like,
right. Absolutely.
But
at the same time, it's like it didn't have to be in the episode. It's
fine. I'm fine for movie teasers. They do it all the time in the shows. Like, usually, so 9 times out of 10, when they introduce the secondary rider or a third rider, whatever, there's a teaser for the movie. Like, at the very end of the episode, someone will walk in and like the new rider show up, or like in the movie, the secondary rider will show up, and then the next episode is like that, essentially. Like, it opens with that teaser. So like, I have no problem with that stuff. If it's, like, this is kind of the opposite problem of what I had with like the Naki thing and the Towser show. I don't need to watch this to get the ending. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't like Hirobi, it wasn't episode 44 and then they're like, watch the movie. You know what I mean?
Right.
If that was the case, I would be very upset. We got the ending between Naruto. We got everyone finishing their arcs. Now this is just a new problem they all need to face at their new point in their lives. That's fine. They're not going to have any kind of crazy arc. There's going to be like a general plot arc, but there's not going to be any kind of major character arcs. So I have no problem with that.
I suppose. Maybe
it's like, so think about it like this. Would you have been mad if when they fought, I'm going to get into spoiler territory for a second, by the way, for W, because it's like 20 years old now.
Spoiler alert.
So pause for a few minutes if you need to. I know. So imagine this, right? They're fighting Terror, and then that's the last time they can henshin, right? So they fight Terror. They have this big moment where they finally beat the Suzaki family. Terror, Claydol, whatever one ended up being the last. I really don't remember. I think it was Terror.
Terror, yeah.
Or was it Claydol too? Doesn't matter. Anyway, doesn't matter. Suzaki family. We finished that arc, and then that's the last time they can henshin, right? So that happens. We get the moment. We get the big moment between Philip and Shotaro, where Philip is, I'll close it, yada yada yada. We get that big emotional moment. So then they cut to where it's just Shotaro again, right? So it's, he's running around being Kamen Rider Joker, doing his thing. And then that's when they introduce Utopia. Would you have been mad if they were like, oh yeah, cool, you can see, this kind of thing, if it was the movie?
Fucking furious.
Really?
Maybe.
That's what I'm saying. Like, we have that arc, we have that satisfying ending for the characters.
Well, I say this on this basis, because if you gave me a movie with Utopia and not Eternal,
well, I'm not, just ignore that. I'm just talking because Eternal is shoehorned into the middle of it. That's my point. But like,
exactly. Well,
you have the entire arc for Philip and Shotaro, which is fine.
And you're not taking away from the characters. No,
Exactly.
that's not what I'm saying.
It's
Like,
just
you're
more
right
of
about
the character. So like if it ended with literally, essentially you get the W ending and then Utopia comes in with the briefcase. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
But in this case, we're getting okay. That little issue is set aside, which is awesome, dope. I have no problem with the story they told for the characters, but it's not like Arc is turned off. You know what I mean? Why did he just randomly?
It's
okay,
just it's so like not a thing though. Like at that point, like Arc, yeah, it can be like an excuse to keep the series going, sort of thing, and I'm sure that'll be the reason why they do V cinemas and all that. But like Azu, I had no connection to whatsoever, and Arc, I have no connection to whatsoever anymore.
No, it's too much. But it's one of the few bad parts of 01. It's just like, I get that they're doing something to progress the story, but I don't think that was the best.
I'm not
for that.
I don't see like to me this isn't the the dessert to the main course as opposed to like the second side that you ordered. You know what I mean? Like you're waiting on your mashed potatoes because they didn't come out on time with the rest of it.
So even if the movie isn't great, you're good.
Yeah, like if the movie sucked, I would have no problem with it. I would still be very satisfied with 01. Because they had their arcs, like I said. As long as, you know what I mean? As long as they don't do anything like Zio where they like retcon some stupid nonsense because whatever, I'm perfectly fine with it. It could be like just a crappy movie where everyone just kind of has like no arc whatsoever and they're just in the new place of their lives.
Well, it's not like he can get a more powerful form. You know what I mean?
I mean, he's going to get some kind of movie form, but who knows what that'll be.
The only thing could be like a what?
03. We saw those.
Like
Yeah, we saw those concept arts for 03 floating around. There was the blue and green one. I'll see if I can find him real quick. But like, he's going to get some kind of movie form. They always do.
I just don't. Yeah, I just thought realizing Hopper would be what they would do. You know what I mean? Like, I think something like that would be a movie form.
I mean, it could even be like, oh, we haven't seen, the real power of realizing Hopper. Maybe it has a new, like a shining form where it opens up like, I don't know. You know what I mean? Like I am very satisfied with where it is. And this is just like hey, teaser for the movie. It has nothing to do with the actual series itself.
I mean, we're absolutely going to watch it anyway. So
yes,
it's not like we're not going to watch it.
I'm not upset or anything by like it being.
What is your prediction for the movie? Just basic.
I think it's going to be they're going to do something, and this guy's either going to get taken over by Azu, and they're going to become some big CG monster thing, like Arc CG monster. I have a feeling that's going to happen.
I see Space Battle. I see Forza in a cameo, maybe. Like,
it'll be like them piloting satellite there into this big CG Arc monster. That looks like that's 03 from a concept.
Is it? It looks like Assault. Shining Assault.
Oh, that might Shining Assault. Where is it? I saw this before.
Oh shit! Sorry, knock
my.
But yeah, I mean,
either way,
I definitely agree with that. I also see Azu doing, the whole "I'm the real bad guy" type thing. You know what I mean? And then
100%. I don't doubt that in any way, shape, or form. I feel like Arc's gonna come in and just pick up Azu and be like, "I'm the real final form." And the only thing that would be an issue maybe is because she has Izu's face. Maybe Aruto has an issue with it, but then you got 4 other riders there ready to just lay the smack down for no reason. You know what I mean? Like, cool, that's not Izu. Yeah. She's standing over there. Let's do this.
Yeah. Do they bring the real Izu? I don't think they should.
I don't think they would. I think they might. Honestly. Yeah. It's kind of like, I don't know if you watch any of the Star Trek movies, but at one point Data is erased and then they start a new Data, that kind of thing.
That's a good point. Yeah.
I think that's what we're doing now. That's all it is.
That's true. Yeah.
So, yeah, I guess that was Shining Assault.
Yeah, it looks like.
God, but I mean, it's such a cool looking form. Damn it.
If it wasn't for Proto, that would be my favorite. That is my favorite form. But
that's your favorite form because Proto is a movie form. So,
touche.
Yeah,
good. That is my favorite form. But anyway, so I do see this movie going. Okay, I do not expect it to be great, but I do expect it to be okay. I want either the total destruction of Arc Satellite, because if you give me like, you got reprogrammed. That's
you don't want the eye flicker at the end of the movie if it just like ding one more time.
Just the little red bleep. No, I don't know, man. We'll see. I didn't even know when it said it was going to come out.
I don't think they have a set date yet.
Yeah.
So
we'll see eventually.
It is what it is. I mean, if they use an excuse for like Fua to be the main dude, that's cool. I don't care. That's fine.
So what would you rank 0-1?
Objectively or personally?
Let's do both. Let's be professionals, and then we can be ourselves.
So objectively, I think it is a great start to the Reiwa era. I think it's better than most of the shows we've had in the last couple years, and probably in the last 6 or 7 since maybe. I mean, Build was up there. I think it's about on par with Build objectively. It's about the same.
Okay.
Maybe a little bit less, just because that middle did drag a pretty good amount.
Due to outside circumstances, but yeah.
Due to outside circumstances. What is this? Is this it? No, this can't be it. I don't think this is it. Sorry, I'm still trying to find that picture, because it was like the 3 of them together, and I'm pretty sure it was a fake image, or it was just Shining Assault, and they called it 0-3 before that was a thing. Certainly possible.
Maybe.
Oh no, that's a weird shark thing. Anyway, subjectively, I love it. Honestly, I had a really great time with this series. It's probably. See, Fua carries a lot of weight for me because he's up there. He's a top 5 secondary rider in my opinion right now. I genuinely, he's Pantheon. He's worthy. He went above Banjo, honestly, on the Pantheon.
That's massive.
That's pretty massive, because I think he has a way better arc that felt way better and way more satisfying at the end. Because at the end of the day, Banjo was just kind of like cool forms, kind of cool dude.
Yeah,
just fun. He's just a fun dude. Just
a fun character.
Yeah, it's Fua carries a lot of that weight because he is so high on my list. But I'm overall very happy with this series, and I would say it's easily a top 10 in my opinion. It may be lower on that top 10 as a series altogether, but it's easy top 10.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say so.
I agree. I would say, objectively, it's the best possible way they could have started the new era in terms of the style show, because you did see a massive stylistic difference between what Zio was versus what they went with this. And you do get the feeling that although marketing and toys and gimmicks are never ever going to go away, at least it's not going to take away from the show. Oh, I see that.
So that is, I don't mean to interrupt, but this is a picture of, it looks like Proto Shining Assault. Or Proto Assault, one of those two.
Oh my. Oh wow, that's nice. Holy crap, dude.
That's like your ultimate form.
That would be so. I'm saving this right now.
There's also Proto 02 I can throw up in a second here, which is basically just an Ichigata color palette swap. But I'm falling into a rabbit hole here. That's really what's happening.
Okay.
If you want to see these pictures we're talking about and you're listening to an audio podcast, you can join our Discord. There's a link below in the description or on the phone in your description, whatever you're listening to this on.
Whatever we have your attention on. Oh, yeah. That's just straight up Ichigata.
Yeah, that's just Ichigata, but it's colored like 02. It's pretty cool.
I like.
Yeah. Anyway,
wow.
The Proto Assault's pretty sick.
Oh my god, yeah. All right, so okay.
Personally, where would you personally rank it?
Personally, I like it as much as I liked Build. Like I said, they are equal in terms of the amount I enjoyed the show. The only difference is that I'm more invested with the Build characters, but it's not by a whole lot. I do agree that the dynamic between Aruto and Fua is stronger than the one in Build between what the hell's his name? Sento and Banjo. Banjo, yeah. So again, that dynamic is far superior. Yeah. But I definitely agree that this show places a bar that I sincerely hope.
And we can get into which brings us to as of this recording, the first episode has aired of Saber, Kamen Rider Saber, our next titular hero.
So before we begin that, so we want to give a cordial farewell to Kamen Rider 01. Thank you for an awesome show. We can't wait to finish it off with the movie and get the true ending that we all want.
Yep. And, the V Cinemas I'm looking forward to because I want to see what else, everyone gets as a
Hell
form.
yeah.
I'm excited. I hope Yua gets one, honestly. I want to see her get an actual final form. That'd be sick.
I would kind of see that happening in tandem with another one. Like maybe she'll do that.
I mean, she might do it with Guy kind of thing. It might be like, I feel like Fu is going to get his own thing, but they may do like Jin and Hirobi and then Guy and Yua. You know what I mean?
Oh my god, the Jin and Hirobi movie is going to be straight up just Batman, and
it's just going to be the animated series. That's all it is. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I'm sure it'll be, if nothing else, Naki will be around. Maybe it'll be Naki and Fua or Yua.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that'll be like an in tandem one. I want her to get one more thing. And same thing with Towser.
She does deserve it. She does deserve it. Towser needs an upgrade for sure. But all in all, these are just going to be fill gaps. Because ultimately we are content with the story we got.
Yep.
Can't argue, Carl, we cannot stress how happy that makes us.
Yes, it is extremely satisfying to have a Kamen Rider be satisfying.
Yes, legit. Do not take any of our small little critiques in any negative sense other than, hey, we get it. It sucked what you had to work with, and you fucking nailed it just the same. So thank you very much.
Yeah,
seriously. Especially
following the poopy-doo-doo caca that is Zio. I can do an actual 1 hour and a half monologue on why I hate that show. I have never not finished a Kamen Rider in my life, and that made me not finish it. So
we'll save that for a 5 shots in rant.
Yeah, that's good. I'm gonna need lots of everything for that one. Yeah. Anyway, so getting to Kamen Rider Saber, he's our new hero. And we talked a little bit about the world last week, but I think they've given us a little more info with this first episode. So it starts off not by a whole lot, but it starts off very G Gundam vibe. That was kind of
all right.
That was kind of the vibe I got.
That very first character, his name is Tassel. Okay, we're being what I am assuming the story is gonna be like. This Tassel character is like some kind of deity. I'm guessing it's gonna be either like a Zordon type thing, or he's gonna be like
I think he's gonna be the main bad guy.
Sadaga. So the guy from Gaim, whatever.
Sagawa.
Sagawa.
TJ, whatever.
Yeah. Him. I'm thinking it's gonna be like another one of those characters. But he's just odd looking.
Yeah, I have
real distracting
picture here.
Yeah, no, please. So we're putting up a picture of this character we're speaking of, and again, there's I don't care how do I word this sensitively. There is no sensitive. He just looks weird, but it's weird. Intentional.
Yeah.
But we're assuming that because we're gonna excuse it because he lives in the fantasy world.
Quite literally, the story is about books and this super mega original book that is the origin of all history, science, imagination, everything.
Webster's Dictionary.
It's literally Webster's Dictionary on like magic roids. That is the origin of everything, which starting with this first episode, before we get farther into it, I'm curious how they exist in the same world. So 01 and Saber do exist in the same world.
Yes. What I'm thinking is that the book, because all right, I guess we're going to have to get there in the episode, but I'm thinking it does take place in the same world, but this fantasy world is separate from ours. So like the whole thing is the pages that open up the world. It's not like it's like a constant presence.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll talk about that more then once we get through the plot of the episode. Okay. So you have this big book, just because I feel like people are going to get very confused if we talk about it now. This big book explodes apart into your toy gimmick that is the pages of the book, because this one faction who was protecting it from another faction got into so there was 10 swordsmen. 10 swordsmen protecting this book. 5 of them went rogue, quite literally.
Yeah.
And that's where we get Kamen Rider Caliber, which is the first
The purple guy.
the purple guy that we saw, we talked about last week.
Yeah.
Who is leading this band of hooligans and trying to collect the pieces to rewrite this giant book.
Yeah.
So essentially there's, a bunch of writers through time that are protecting the book and the pages and stories and imagination and all these other things. That is Kamen Rider Caliber. Yep. He's pretty cool design. I do like this design a lot.
I mean, it's the Purple Rider, so those Purple Riders are always dope, and then somehow they always turn them around. But we'll go with dope for now.
Yeah, I do. I like the kind of demon vibe it has.
Like I had trepidation throughout this episode because I wanted it to be okay. I wanted it to it didn't have to match the energy of 01, but it had to be. It's a strong beginning, and I do not think this episode was a strong beginning.
Okay. Yes. This is my thing with this episode. I literally was watching this going, this is a Sentai episode. It's literally a Sentai episode. The way feels, the way the bad guys are introduced, the way that all the characters interact with each other, it's literally Sentai.
Mystery. Everything is up front in your face.
And that's kind of what worries me because Sentai is... I have this issue with Sentai.
Notorious for that.
Yeah. There's this thing with Sentai, why I don't talk about it a lot, is because I usually get to about episode 15 or 16 and then I get bored out of my mind. I don't care about the characters. I don't care about what's happening in the plot. They rarely ever seem to capture me in any way, shape, or form because it tends to be geared more towards a younger audience. Not that Kamen Rider isn't, but Kamen Rider has that deeper plot like we were just talking about. Like, this is a kid show and you have two people literally fighting over the end of the world because they killed each other's best friend. Like, come on now.
So, okay, but at the same time, I want to work with that. You know what I mean? Like, it's not
I'm all for exploring new territory if that's the case. And it was a little off-putting. That's all it was. It's the first episode, so you literally can't judge any Kamen Rider by its first episode because it's usually the Wild West at that point of what's going to happen and what they're doing with the show.
But again, bro, first impressions matter everything. Mm-hmm. At least when, not to children. And I'm gonna forgive it because yes, it's a kid show. But dude, you know that there is a market out there for people like us. Yeah. Why would you start an episode like? Why would you start why would you put the third episode as the pilot? You know what I mean? The first, at least the second episode, this didn't have anything substantial because the exposition dump robbed everything from it.
Yeah, so you get the first 10 minutes explaining this background, how there was a bunch of writers that protect this book and trying to rebuild the book and find all the pages. Essentially, it comes down to a bunch of people trying to find the pages. You have one side and the other side fighting over the pages. And then you find out immediately that the main character falls into the amnesiac category of unoriginal character types.
Yeah, I legit took notes as the episode went through, and
I hear the book and pages flipping vigorously.
Literally, my second note is amnesia main character FML.
Yeah, I was kind of like when they did that, I had hard what's his face Spectre vibes. I was like, oh, the sister dies, cool, but
right.
And I was thinking it'd be kind of cool to see a character that maybe uses books to kind of cope with that sort of thing,
right? Something,
and that would have been kind of interesting. And then immediately he goes, I don't know why I have this, and I was like, what?
Like you have a little thingy in your pocket that you've had forever.
And he's like, what's that weird dream again? I was like, no, don't do this to me.
Yeah, so we're getting that guy. So we're getting Cloud Strife, main character. And yet at the same time, okay, all right.
It can be done well. It's just it's such an overdone trope. It's not. Again, it goes back to the first impression.
Yeah, like I said, they did it well with build because they revealed that. You know what I mean? It was shown that hey, all right. So they gave like a 1 or 2 sentence little thing about memories in the beginning of build, but that reveal was good because it turns out that no shit, he doesn't remember anything because he's not actually that guy. Yeah, you know what I mean? So. That makes sense. This is going to be lame because obviously, and they show when he's having that dream, he's having these visions of this, obviously the Flame Rider before him,
Yeah.
slamming his sword into the ground and doing some kind of big bang attack that obviously saves the day or whatever,
Yep.
and then wipes the kid's memory.
So to give people an idea, this is literally the Vegeta final explosion against Boo. That's exactly what this is. Like,
Exactly.
It's literally a dad going, "Oh, we gotta protect the world. Boo. Final explosion."
And it's so underwhelming too. It's just
I was like, "Oh no, he's dead," and that did not do anything. Okay.
Yeah. So that's how you start the show, with this crap. But okay, it's fine. If this is the way, and I'm going to repeat this, Carl, I'm just saying, if this is the way the show's going to go, it is heavy Sentai. This is Kamen Rider Sentai.
This is, I want to say this dude, like, he definitely started in Sentai.
This is the writer for Ghost, mind you.
Yeah, I think he wrote a lot of Sentai episodes too, though.
Yeah, I believe it.
He was the second. No, he didn't actually. He was the secondary writer of Ultraman Max and Ultraman X. X is interesting, but X also had a very, very Sentai vibe. X is the one where he could like equip the monster stuff, the monster armor.
Oh,
it was like the Digimon kind of thing where he could equip the electro
something interesting.
Claws. Yeah. That one was actually pretty good. I liked that one a little bit. Anyway, yeah.
So this is not the writer for Ghost?
It is the writer for Ghost, but I was thinking he did other stuff. That's what he was the main writer of. Before this, he was just secondary writers of Ultraman Max and Ultraman X.
Gotcha. And of course, everybody knows how much, Ghost was the best show of all time.
Yes.
So
if you've been around for a Kamen Rider for any amount of time at this point, or if you just listen to the show a while, I'm sure we've mentioned it before, but Ghost is great. It's just great.
It is the best. The best ever.
The best. That is. I hope you are deliciously spoon feeding yourself this big, thick sarcasm into your mouth hole.
But legit, like, the best thing to come out of Ghost were the designs. Yep. That's it.
He actually wrote the Spectre movie too, surprisingly. Even though the only good thing was the final fight. So anyway,
exactly.
And that's the director that did that. Anyway, it starts on a lot of tropes, which, I mean, to be fair, 01 did too.
Well, yeah, but that's the whole thing. It's like this is the same to the extreme.
Yeah.
This doesn't leave anything in terms of like story to be told in any other way. Like, it seems like they're just giving you everything up front because they're probably thinking the show's gonna get canceled or something like that. Like,
I don't know.
This is all the stuff we have in the show. It's gonna be awesome. Stick around. Please keep watching. Just watch. This stuff coming. Like, you didn't need to do that. We're on board. When you said Kamen Rider, I showed up. Okay.
Yeah. I just don't know. Like, it's hard to. I'm trying to be cautiously optimistic. I'm trying to be like, oh, maybe they'll just get the tropes out of the way, and then we'll do something a little more interesting with them. That's fine. I'm all for that if that's the case.
Yeah.
Like, there's things like My Hero Academia is the most shonen that it's ever shonen, but it does it in a way that like celebrates the genre and does it correctly, kind of thing. Plus ultra. It's that kind of thing. I'm hoping it turns into that. I doubt that it will, honestly, but I hope it does. I hope like it just turns out like, even if it's just one of those things where maybe it's not the deepest thing, it's just kind of fun to go through it. I'm all for that. I'm fine with it. Doesn't have to be the greatest, edgiest story in the world that makes me like cry and puke all over the place. Like, that's fine. It just, as long as it's entertaining, I'm okay with it. Don't make me force myself through 50 something episodes.
So the main character is Toma Kamiyama. All right. Yeah. He is a novelist who opens his own bookstore, and I'm gonna give the actor a little bit of credit in terms of he's just like the actor for Aruto in terms of he can be freakishly cartoony and then pretty
turn on the series. Yeah, I actually enjoyed him in this first episode a little bit. I think he was one of the highlights of the episode, honestly, because he didn't have that same kind of cartoony Sentai vibe. He was a little more grounded. He was still eccentric and goofy and silly, but he was grounded.
Right. And that I think they had to do that because of his
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 counterpart.
counterpart.
Yeah.
That Akiko wannabe, oh my god, she was too much. Like,
Rintaro Shindo, I think her name is.
yes.
Oh nope, that's Blades. Hang on.
Oh,
I'm on the
sorry.
wiki here. I'm going through the wiki. I'm trying to figure out May. That's what it is. May.
May, right?
Yes.
May-chan. That's right. He kept calling her that.
So May is his editor because he's also a novelist. So he opens the bookshop because he's not making money as a novelist, and you find out it's because he just won't write.
Yeah.
So
And
she comes in. Yeah. She literally kicks in the door and goes, "Hey man, I need that manuscript." And he's like reading to a bunch of children, and he's like,
and it was kind of charming. You know, they did do like a quick little moment where he was like animated, and they were like telling the story of Aladdin, and
they were literally inside the book world, and
it was a very shocking stylistic difference that I think that it's going to continue in the show.
Yes,
I hope
because
that's
yeah.
I mean, I'm only saying that for the sake of individuality. You know what I mean? Like, if it's gonna be a thing for the show, at least integrate it and
steer
make it
into
a
it,
thing because they did. Yeah, and I think they are because they use that kind of effect in a lot of the transitions for not like screen wipes, but like for example, like when the book thing happens.
I think
in the AOE.
the transitions, the book page turning is actually a really cool effect. I thought that was really slick.
I agree, and that's one of the things I wrote in here. Is like, I do not hate that CG effect. I really hope that they use that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's so okay. So she yells at him. They start going about their day.
Mm-hmm.
So they run into this. Well, I guess they purposely go to this kid's birthday party, to give him a gift or whatever that was.
Yeah, it's one of the kids that he watches at the bookshop and sees at the bookshop all the time.
Yeah. He gives him this book about this boy. I forget what the story was, but it was like a huge foreshadow when he was like, this kid finds his mom or whatever, something like that.
It's when a kid gets separated from his parents, and the mom is upset, and the kid has to like step up and try and find his mom, as opposed to the other way around, sort of thing.
But it's literally told in like 3 sentences, which really solidifies my point. Like, the writing was not very strong in this first episode.
No.
It was just all the exposition dump that you could possibly get, so that we could see the big shiny flashy special effects. So that now the second, third, fourth episode that they have no budget, now they're going to do all the talking. So
yeah.
But
So it's essentially at this point, like you get the setup of your main characters, right? And then you have the dastardly plot of the enemy that comes in, and they're like, here, take this broken book, because it's always the Kamen Rider gimmick. They got to always use the same thing. So
that was kind of cool though, that thing that they integrated where it looked like two pendulum hands writing.
I was going to get to that because I really liked that.
Yeah.
That
I don't know what
so
it
it's
is,
this kind of like
dull
hand thing that seems to be writing a new big Overlord book thing, but like it only moves when it's getting fueled by this fantasy power or whatever, when the worlds are merging.
It's either that or it's like only able to rewrite something that's existing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they don't explain it at all. But it's really cool because it's kind of this weird like puppet robot hand that just starts like moving when the bad guys. I don't even remember what the monsters are called. When the bad guy starts doing stuff, the kaijin starts doing things. Because what they're trying to do is rewrite history and the world and merge the fantasy and reality worlds. So basically they create the first monster that comes out, and
Golem. Yeah, I think I could find
it's Golem Megiddo. They're Megiddo. Yeah.
Megiddo. Oh, that's right. They're called Megiddo.
Yeah. Megiddo Momono. I don't know what that is. Megiddo. Anyway, they're Megiddo. That's what the kaijin are called this time. And they seem to be like creatures of like false books almost. And so they go and try and create the world and combine the two fantasy worlds and the real world. And they this one literally shows up and starts doing Sentai things. Literally kind of goes in and just wanton destruction.
I mean, he does look like your typical Sentai villain.
I dig the design though. I'm not gonna lie.
But okay. I'm trying to be positive. All right, Robert, be positive. All right. So again, for being different, it's nice to see, but it wasn't handled any differently
No.
than a Sentai will.
No. And that's just the vibe. We'll just call this a Sentai episode. We might as well review it like a Sentai episode because that's literally what it was.
Kamen Rider Saber Sentai. Okay. Yeah. So anyway, the next note I have written here, I'm not sure exactly what point this was, but at some point, that obviously secondary rider guy, he's been like stalking him.
That's Shindo or Shintaro, whatever I called him.
Yeah, and he does not look like he can emote very well at all.
Rintaro
because
Shindo.
In every scene, he just had the same face. Like
he had the same like. Yeah, he's like, "Is this the world I'm supposed to be in?"
Yeah, but but he drops this. So the shit hits the fan. The golem attacks, and Toma and Mei are caught in the middle of it. They're protecting the boy, and then the sword appears when he starts playing with the book thing, right? So this obviously like burnt sword embeds into the ground.
Yeah, no. Okay, so back up a little bit. So basically, the monster starts attacking. What happens is it opens this book around like a couple blocks of the city, and it transports that chunk of the city into the fantasy world. So that's when dope effect. It was really cool. Like it literally, the city opens up, and then you see pages start to flip, and they go to the fantasy world. It's really interesting.
And it happens like slowly. Like you can see the reality start to slowly dissolve, and then boom, it's gone.
So that's cool. That's when, and then the monster's like, "You're in my house now," starts blowing stuff up. Toma goes to like confront it because he's like, "Hey man, I got to protect the kid's imagination," or whatever he says.
I think that's his catchphrase, is something about "that's a promise."
Yeah, like I promise to protect the stories of the world or something like that. That's his, like every writer has their catchphrase, whatever.
Yakusoku. Yeah, that's his catchphrase. That's a promise.
Yep.
Okay.
So that's when, once they go to the fantasy world, when this other guy, Rintaro, shows up and he pulls out a driver with a sword in it. And it's like, oh, he's obviously Kamen Rider too. And he's Kamen Rider Blades that we talked about a little bit. He's the blue one, if you've seen any of the promotional art. And that's when they do the really cool book effect where the pages turn, and he kind of does this like stop motion until he just appears in the fantasy world. It's really cool.
Yeah, and it's a dope effect, and I hope that they do not stop that because that's really cool.
So then Toma just attacks the monster without doing anything, and he has, he's had his little Progrise book the whole time. I don't know what to call him, Progrise book.
It's called
Wonder Book. That's what it is.
Ride Wonder Book.
Ride Wonder Book. So he's got the Burning Dragon one, or Blazing Dragon. And then he has his little moment of like, I got to protect everyone. And then the monster's like, okay, but you're human. Boom. And so the book like erupts into flame, and it explodes and like blows the monster back. And he has a moment of.
I have it here. I'm going to put that in the Discord for everybody to watch.
Yeah. So then in this field of fire is, this burnt up charcoal sword. And he's trying to reach for it, and he can't because it's super hot. And that's when he does grab it, and there's another eruption, and it becomes a driver.
Before the Kamen Rider Blades suit guy, he drops this line. He says, "No Homo sapien can take up that sword."
Yes. So apparently this... Yeah, especially since Homo sapien isn't very much English. He's like, what tells you a Homo sapien?
It was so jarring, and I get it.
It was interesting because I'm like, okay, I see.
Like,
and then apparently, of course, because it's the main character, this particular sword of flame is a legendary one of some kind. I'm going to assume it's just the most powerful of them.
It's called, and this is the one thing I liked. So I wrote that I love how that burnt sword became the driver.
Yes.
And not the weapon.
Yes, because the weapon is in the driver, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. So, and then it's called the Flame Sword Rekka, or Rekka the Flame Sword.
Yes.
That's dope.
Which, it's pretty cool. And I hope all of them have really cool names like that. Cause
so the blue guy's
Sword of Logos.
It's called Nagare, Sword of the Torrents.
Sword of the Torrents, okay. Because I guess the Wonder Ride book is Sword of Logos. He has like Sword of Logo next to him or something in the wiki.
Yeah, because he has sort of his Book of the Brave Dragon or something like that. We'll
it's the Sword of Logos is the association he's with. I don't know if they all have different factions or what, but that's the group he's with. The Swords of Logos. Okay, so he's the Sword of the Torrent. That's cool. So so he henshins, he does his thing, the henshin is excessive to say the least.
I mean, when you look at it here, like you can tell they're gonna shorten the hell out of it. But
Yeah, it was very much like here's the first henshin kind of fanciness.
yeah. So basically, like there's flames, and then a dragon is like spinning around him.
Yeah.
I just don't like the bubble effect. I'm not in love with the bubble effect, but I get that it's just implying that they're in the fantasy world.
Yeah, it's different. It's kind of cool. It's just a different kind of thing.
Characters start being in a bubble pops on their face. It's gonna take me out of the moment. So
Listen,
I'm just saying.
JoJo did it. JoJo did it great. So bubbles are sick.
Judge.
R.I.P. Caesar Zappelli. That's all I'm gonna say. Have I ever shown you Caesar Zappelli? Not to get off track here, but Caesar Zappelli literally whoops ass with a bunch of bubbles. I'm just saying. Just saying. All
right.
I'll show you later. We'll keep that.
Right. So he takes his Wonder Ride book that he's always had, and he's able to place that in the driver conveniently, obviously. Now, the cool thing is the hilt of the sword is kind of like the activator. When he pulls the hilt out from the driver, it opens the book.
Yep.
And that's when the you get the whole effect of the book opening behind him. It's like this giant projection of it. The dragon pops out. It starts doing the spinny stuff. He does 2 fire slashes, I guess. That's what becomes his face.
Yeah, so it seems to be the sword on the top is, just a crest, and then he creates the X shape on his mask with 2, like, Repukins, basically.
Yeah, Repukin.
Yeah, Reppuken, double Reppuken, and then it just goes onto his face.
He's stuck. That's double Reppuken face.
Yeah, that's it. He's double Reppuken. It's double Reppuken, the Sword of Flame. You know what I'm saying? I mean, Geese does have Rekkas, so
there we go. You see what I'm saying? I do love this design. I think it is a really nice design. It's not totally jarringly asymmetrical, but it's I think that the fact that the driver looks like it has 3 slots, we're gonna see like a whole shit ton of O's level mix and matching.
Yes, we already saw a little bit in one of the preview images. He had one in the middle. It was like Jack the Beanstalk, I think, is like the machine gun looking one that was in the preview.
Yeah.
He had that on the far left, which is the black section, and then there was one in the middle, which, yeah, we're gonna see mix and matches of 3. I don't know what the rules are for them. Like, W was like the weapon and the augment. Build was usually like a animal and a tech thing, that sort of thing. Yeah. I'm not sure what those are going to be. Looking at the blades one, it looks like his is to the left, all the way to the left, as opposed to the right.
Oh, maybe it is about placement.
Yeah, so it could change depending on the placement. That might be why his is solid and Toma's is, the triples. So I don't know.
Let's see. What else did I write? So first fight wasn't too bad. The choreography's good.
Yeah, it was
very
wire fooey into CG. So
yeah, I mean, it's an obvious big budget first fight impression.
Yeah, lots of flashy, and then they do the weird. So at one point they go into the weird CG world,
yes.
Which is we saw in the preview, and I don't know. I don't like big CG things. I'd rather use CG as a augment to the scene while you have good choreography than just like a full CG cutscene.
Right.
I don't know. It looked fine, I guess.
Well, it's for being what it's gonna have to be. I'm sure they're gonna find a way to work around it. Like Gaim used just a color gradient. You know what I mean? And a couple set pieces to imply that they were in.
Yeah, and it's very clearly, I think I mentioned it before too, it's very clearly, like, I don't know if it's a new team or a new studio, or they just discovered, Unreal Engine. I don't know what they changed, but it did have the lighting was much different. The quality of the models was much different. I wouldn't say good or bad, but it was just a different quality of model.
Yeah, it was very, again, it wasn't janky enough to the point where it's bad, but it was janky enough to where, because we have an eye for it, if you know you're seeing something weird, when it's being weirder than it should be, and that's kind of what it was.
As that whole sequence was going on, I just kind of had Green Lantern flashbacks where like Ryan Reynolds was like, no, I want a CG suit because it's made of magic, and I was like,
I was seeing Reboot, and I'm like, oh.
But Reboot's good. That's the thing. So Reboot's awesome. So that's all that matters. Yeah. So essentially, there's some fighting. It's some pretty forgettable, generic wire fu Kamen Rider fighting, and then the monster, to go in, even farther into the Sentai hole, becomes quite large and literally makes himself grow. He makes his monster grow.
Yeah, I wrote Rita.
Yes, literally Rita repulses himself and just gets bigger. It's whatever. I expected a big dragon mech to come out. I was like, oh, here we go. Literally, as it started doing that, I was like, oh, here we go. Here comes the big CG mech.
Right, and I was expecting either his bike or something.
I was expecting the dragon to come.
No, I was waiting for his bike. I thought he was gonna do a chase thing with the giant kaiju. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or something. But no, we got a couple slashes, and
he literally did this big like torrent slash upwards, and then just kind of cut it in half. And I was like, oh, I mean, I guess that works too. I guess.
Yeah, I wrote no kick. Okay.
Yeah.
So he doesn't have a kick, at least not one that he's used yet. So his finisher is going to be weapon based.
Yeah. I mean, he also didn't get his bike, so that may turn into a thing too. Yeah. I don't know.
But like I said, this was not a first episode, in my opinion. This was a second episode, maybe, but there was no meat on the bones. It was already dry. So the last note I wrote here is, or actually the last two notes is, Tassel is going to annoy me if he's going to close out every episode too.
I kind of liked it because, like I said, I got Hard G Gundam vibes. So if he like straight up is like, Kamen Rider Saber, all set, ready, go! Every episode, I'm all for it. That's fine.
I hope we get to something like that. Like
that'd
maybe
be pretty cool.
He'll fucking sit and do like
and then the episode starts.
Yeah. But and then the
Dark Gundam arrives.
I'm gonna pray that that's the way it goes, because holy crap, man, he is gonna become too much, way too much.
So I'm gonna dump a bunch of images now. That's pretty much the end of the episode. You get a little tie up where so essentially they go back to the bookstore, and
what is that?
We're gonna talk about it in a second. I'm just gonna dump a bunch of things. We'll talk about it in a second.
Oh, okay.
So
all right.
So essentially we go back to the episode. May and Toma go back, and essentially they wrap it up.
Return the boy. Yeah, they return the boy to his parents.
Yeah, it's pretty typical tie up the monster arc kind of thing. And then all of a sudden, the secondary rider guy literally walks in on like the most awkwardly sized tiger ever.
He looks so disproportionate to it. Like he looks so.
It was almost like when you see like an adult try and get on a large dog and be like, haha, look at me, I'm riding your dog. When they're not actually like riding it, they're just kind of standing over it.
Or like, no, it's exactly like the ones that that are in the park with the spring where they just ride on that little thing.
Yeah, like it was so awkward. And he's just on this weird CG lion. And he's like, "Oh, hey, hello, I'm here." And then the episode ends.
Yeah, it's bad. It's bad, and everything about it sucks. So let's just hope that they improve the implication of the CG, and just if they're gonna include that little line mode to his bike, let's just use it as little. I
don't know if you noticed
possible.
Actually, we'll get into that in a second because it was part of the intro. There's a lot of stuff in the intro, and the ending that I would like to talk about. So,
the ending. Oh, let's talk about the ending.
So,
all right. So let me start this.
Okay, go ahead.
We're talking about the ending.
I'm still finding pictures.
Okay.
Yeah, so we'll just go into the ending. Okay. Openings, endings, whatever.
All right, I'm just gonna talk about the ending here. So, Saber is for everything I've said about it being Sentai. This moment solidified it because only Sentai to this point, unless I'm having a major brain, no Kamen Rider has ended with a dance sequence.
Nope, because it is Sentai.
Ever. Because that is strictly a Sentai thing. So it really, 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 really bothered me that they chose to do that for Saber. Now, again, I'm going to be optimistic and I'm going to not be negative immediately. But the one thing that I wish they would have done for this ending is one, I like their actors. You know, they might not be the greatest dancers in the world, which is fine. I can forgive that. But if you're an actor, you can at least fake like you're having a good time doing this.
Yeah.
They look so awkward, and especially the blue one. Like, I get if that's his character, if he's not human, but if that's what you're implying, he looks so uncomfortable the entire time. It took me out of it. Like, I wanted to at least like butt rock to it. But no, it's just awkward to watch. It doesn't work.
Toma's into it though.
He's selling it, and that's what I'm saying. His character is going to be what I'm hoping saves the show. If it's gonna be this cartoony, if it's gonna be this cartoony, I'm gonna accept it, because again, I want Reiwa to be different, but I also don't want it to go backwards and just, you know, be all about style over substance.
Yeah. So what I dumped a bunch of images here. We can talk about those in a second because they're different forms and things. But specifically, the two I just put up after your video here, it's Kamen Rider Espada, and then it also shows the three of them crossing swords. Like, they're obviously 1, 2, 3. They're partners. We already know that Kamen Rider Espada has an actor and everything. They've released the names and all that kind of stuff. It is not May. In this ending, no. In this ending, it is the three of them dancing, and it shows Kamen Rider Espada doing things. So it implies that it is May, and that bugs the crap out of me.
Yeah, you are right. I did get that vibe too, but I knew
it shows the three of them all the time, and the only three you see outside of the suits are May, Rintaro, and Toma. Yeah. So it's very jarring, and it's almost like false advertising, because you're like, oh, cool, we'll get another main female rider. Nope. You're going to get the third, random sword boy. That's what you're going to get, and you're going to like it.
I think it's going to be, I would say that the amount of riders in the show, I hope, don't increase by a lot. So,
there's going to be at least 10. So, Sentai.
But the 10, okay. So, fine. You give us 10 riders. I will accept that. But don't give me 10 of this of interchangeable character traits. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, look at Gaim, watch Gaim again, and then watch it a third time, and give me Gaim with this.
Fair.
Don't.
Very fair.
Yeah.
It's I don't know. I'm. So it's right. I don't know. Let's go through what these forms here. I dumped a bunch of stuff. So the first one I dumped is Lion Fantasista, which is Rintaro Kamen Rider Blades using the Peter Fantasista, which I think is the Peter Pan one.
Right.
Which kind of cool. Kind of keeps that rapier aesthetic going. It's interesting. Yeah. It's got the hook.
Did you? I do want to hope that the riders at least have their own. I mean, obviously, it looks like they have their own weapons, but I'm hoping the fencing styles are all different. Like,
yes, it seems he's a rapier, and he also, even during the dance, he does a little more of like a wushu style, like spinny thing.
Yeah,
that was a hard wushu vibe.
But Espada is a Spanish sword,
fencing sword. Like
it's kind of like a saber type.
Yeah, especially since all three of them have a very similar sword as opposed to like Kamen Rider Buster. So, like,
you mean New Deno?
Yes. Is it literally New Deno?
It is almost identical.
It's the same character or same actor?
No. It's not New Deno. I just mean, well, he actually beat that, but what I mean is the face design for Buster looks nearly identical to New Deno. Oh,
I'm fine with it. I don't care. New Deno was kind of cool. I didn't understand it in any way, shape, or form, but it was kind of cool. Because Deno, everything started going to like the movies were canon. You had to like watch those at the right times, and I didn't. So like when I watched, I was very confused. Anyway, the next one I put up here was Saber using the Peter Pan. which is, he swaps out the black side, and you can see on there it's got the blue,
which is good.
the blue wings, and it's cool. It's
like
good how different it is for each of the riders, which is kind of sick.
It's not going to be single term, like one-time use thing if it's going to be able to be interchanged.
Yeah.
Like, I'm hoping that these aren't just, I don't know, let's be hopeful, but I don't know, man. The problem with forms is you start to do the one at a time and one-time use. Like, what is this one here? The
silverish one?
Yeah. The green
so that's
one?
that's the Jack and the Beanstalk. This is actually the coolest looking one so far, I think. We saw it in the preview. Yeah, so like what it does is it throws little pellets out and it kind of gives them like a ranged weapon sort of thing. That one's pretty cool. And then the one after that is Hedgehog, which I think might be what Espada's book is, because Espada has a very similar lightning motif if you look at the cross swords.
Yes. So
it may be the first two slots are like he can use the other Needle Hedgehog Wonder Ride book. Yeah, so it may be, I don't know if are they all ride books? Yeah, they all.
They are all going to be ride books, yeah.
So it may be as something as the middle one is reserved for like if he uses another like full rider version. I don't know, because that one seems to go in the middle slot.
Like a form change, yeah, because it looks completely different.
Yeah, because you can see the black side is still there, but then he has the dragon, the hedgehog, and then the black side
dead center. Yeah.
So I think that may be reserved for like if he uses blades or anything like that, like Blade Senki line. Yeah, it's. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. That's all I got for it, honestly. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, again, if we're going to be forgiving in terms of what we're expecting, then let's be optimistic in the sense that we have enjoyed Sentai's 2, knowing that that's what we're getting. So what we're getting is probably going to be a bizarre hybridization of the two shows.
It may or may not work.
That may or may not work, but we're gonna hope that it does, because I need to keep this feel good of Rider. This has to keep going.
Yeah. I'm optimistically hopeful. I'm excited to see Kamen Rider Buster. Honestly, I think that dude's gonna be sick because he's got a big dumb iron sword.
I am hoping that the roster of the riders is diverse enough that we're gonna see a whole bunch of what we like and then get surprises, because I do anticipate liking Espada's design because it's very something I would like, but I don't know, the character might be a goof, you know what I mean? So we'll see.
It could be like another Beast kind of thing where he just puts mayonnaise or some weird shit on all his food. So, like, Beast was such a failed character. It's upsetting because it's a cool gimmick. He's a cool rider, but Nito is not an interesting character in any way, shape, or form. And he got dogged, but that's a whole other conversation. So,
yeah.
Trying to find some other pictures here. So we got Kenzan. That's the double sword.
Yes,
which is pretty cool. I'm excited to see that one. I dig scarves. I dig extra.
Yeah, I mean,
extra things.
I'm looking forward to at least the designs, because just like like Ghost, we love the designs. The designs were awesome. The problem was the story.
Yep.
I'm hoping to be wrong,
so
but
we shall see. Yeah, and they all seem to have, at least the main couple riders seem to have like the element motif going on. So you got fire, wind, water, earth, heart, that kind of thing.
It's gonna be Busters.
Yeah, so I have no doubt that the final form will just be Captain Planet as a rider.
I'm thinking, all right, what if they go full Sentai, right? And the guy for Buster is like a 12-year-old boy.
He's not. They already showed him.
Damn it!
They already showed the actor. He's a dad. He's literally a dad.
Oh, he's the dad rider, right?
Yeah, he's the dad rider.
He's like one of the original ones.
He might be like the previous gen kind of thing, knew the original Saber, that kind of deal.
So do you think that the old guy in the beginning is either Toma's dad or just the hero?
It's Toma's dad.
You think?
It's Toma's dad, yeah. I think that was his sister.
Little girl's like his sister. Yeah.
I think the girl. So in the flashback, we didn't go into it too much. There's a little girl, I think briefly, but the little girl gets sucked into this like portal thing. It looks like one of the book portals to the fantasy world.
Yep.
And that's the dream he's having. I think that's Caliber. honestly.
Did they name her? I don't think they named her.
No, I think that's Caliber though, because I don't think Caliber was in that flashback. It was just a bunch of Megiddo.
You think the guy who died, quote unquote, is Caliber?
No, I think the girl is Caliber. The girl who gets sucked into the fantasy world.
Well, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's a guy. So yeah, you could be right.
Yeah, I mean, it's clearly these are like generational things. Like they've been saying, there's been multiple swordsmen over and over. Like multiple people have held each one. So even if it wasn't the original Caliber that like destroyed the book, it could be Caliber.
Yeah,
you know. What I mean?
agree. I mean, that makes the most sense.
That'd be interesting. I doubt it'll happen, honestly, but I think that'd be interesting.
It would be one of the more interesting things so far. But yeah, I mean, it's still early, but it's not too late to fuck it up either.
Yeah, I mean, it's not too late to mess up, or it's not too late to be good if they do mess up the beginning. So, I mean, there's plenty of writers that. I mean, there's a reason we give shows the first 10 episodes if we try them out and review them. Things very much can change. Blade, the first 12 episodes, completely different than the rest of the show. So
I gave X8 the chance that I should have, and I came back on a lot of my opinions, but not all of them. So
I won't go back on my opinions about Zio. So
no, there's only one opinion.
There's only one opinion. It's dumpster fire. Baskets. It's literal Easter baskets of poop. Like, could you imagine waking up Easter all excited for candy, opening these eggs, wanting like Reese's peanut butter cups and all this stuff, and it's just like diarrhea? That's that's what Zio is. Like, you're opening these eggs of like, oh cool, I get to see my favorite riders come back, and it's just poopy doo doo caca all over my favorite storylines. So
you crack open that Coke can and it's actually seltzer water with
I like seltzer, okay?
With lime.
Listen,
salt.
Don't do that to my seltzer. But yeah, so
I have been on that too. The seltzer waters are dope.
Seltzer, the bubblies and all that stuff. Yeah, it's good stuff. It's good stuff.
Yeah. Bougie.
Yeah. It's what happens when you get old, people. You just don't drink soda anymore.
Yeah, soda just loses that. Trust me. Listen, you whippersnappers, appreciate your teeth while you get them. You bunch of bastards.
It's yeah. So that's Kamen Rider Saber. I'll give it a chance. The first episode was Sentai. Again, to reiterate. So if you like Sentai, you'll probably like this, honestly.
And I think you will. And I think if you forgive the approach, you're probably in for a treat.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm hoping to be wrong. I'm hoping that this is going to be great.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah, 100%. I hope it. Yeah. Like they put a couple things in here that could be interesting. They put a lot that wasn't very interesting, but it was all entertaining at the end of the day for the most part.
And very pretty. Very pretty.
It was something, yeah. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. I don't know what we're going to be doing next for a review type thing, but we shall figure it out, I suppose.
Let's just start with episode 2, and we'll figure out something along the way.
Okay, yeah, we'll see if Rintaro gets any better, but I doubt he will. So, well, cautiously optimistic, guys. Cautiously optimistic. Yeah. All right. Well, if you want to listen to more of our ramblings of insanity and opinions, and you think we're good at doing what we're doing / talking, I don't know. People think we're good at talking. We're fine, I guess. You can follow us at Tokudon TV on Facebook and Tokudon at everything else. Tokudon TV should be all of it by the time this goes up. I got to switch everything else. It's Tokudon on Spotify. It's literally we've done many episodes at this point. We are over our year anniversary. Yay!
Drink up. Oh wait,
not yet. But yeah, so we're gonna keep episodes rolling. We're gonna keep them fairly steady again. See, I knew I said it. I said it last time, and I was like, one of these times I'm gonna say it, and now we're here. Now we're here. So we're gonna keep it fairly steady. Review some stuff and things like that.
Have fun along the way.
Have fun along the way. Yeah. If you wanna follow me on anything, I'm at Kaiju Karudu. It's RU, 2 of them at the end.
Karudu, and I am at Sick Mirror Tricks on basically. This has been Tokudon TV. We will see you on the next one.
Cheer. Deuces.
Peace.